Hey, what's up guys? Today we are looking into an exhaust leak. I'm going to show you how to find an exhaust leak, and then once you have found the exhaust leak, if it happens to be on your exhaust manifold, how to take off the exhaust manifold on a 2001 Ford Mustang. Got this car as a project car, and as you know, project cars stay projects for a while. Thing had a burnt valve from an exhaust leak, and I thought just grinding down the headers, the original headers on the car that the original owner put on, would fix it, and it didn't. Still have an exhaust leak. Luckily I found about it, so we don't have another burnt valve. So we're just going to jump right into it. First I want to show you guys how to actually find the exhaust leak. If you look right here, I just have a wet vac hooked up to the blowing side. You can't do this with vacuum unless you do have your vacuum as a blower. And then what you want to do is you just basically want to kind of tape it up. I wouldn't recommend using duct tape. Just use painter's tape or something light and easy, and just tape it up right onto your exhaust pipe right there, as you see. So I mean, it took me about 5 minutes to hook that up, and nothing really hard. And then what you do is you'll just come over, and where you think you have the exhaust leak, I didn't think I had the exhaust leak necessarily on my exhaust pipes themselves. As you see, I don't have catalytic converters. Sorry about the bad video. I know it's pretty bad. But I didn't think I had one there. I always smelled kind of a weird smell coming out of here and feeling hot air coming from somewhere. And so that led me to believe it's probably the headers on this side, plus my O2 valves. My O2 sensors were giving me weird readings every once in a while, which led me further to believe I have an exhaust leak, because air would sneak in there and make the computer send in more rich mixtures of gas and air. Down on this side, I didn't think it was on the driver's side exhaust manifold, because I never really had a problem with the O2 sensor, and I never felt any hot air. It always felt, those two always felt different. So, as you can see here, original headers right there connected to the exhaust pipe. So, basically what you would do after you hook that up is you would spray water, as you can see right here, where you think the exhaust leak was, and if you felt bubbles, etc., you know there's an exhaust leak. So I was doing that down here, and on this exhaust point right here, this exhaust manifold, there's a blowing feel. So I sprayed some water down here, you know, sure as you believe it, freaking exhaust leak. Where I think the leak is actually coming from is where the header meets, I'm not sure what you call this, but basically the header bolt-on area, the header bolt-on area meets the actual pipes for the headers. I think that's where the leak is coming from. It's not actually coming from, where the header meets the cylinder head. It's coming from where the header pipes meet the header bolt-on area. So basically what we have to do now, and I guess this video is kind of morphing in how to take off your exhaust manifold, your Mustang, or any car for that matter, is, so basically now, we have to take off this header, and it's a sucky job. I hate it, and you know, you gotta get your hands in tight space, but it's a quicker job. It's only 6 bolts, excuse me, is that it? Yeah, 6 bolts, and I mean, they're pretty tight, so I just have to take off these 6 bolts. Let me show you where they are really quick. We have 1 bolt right here where you can see my wrench. I've already started the job. I'm probably gonna pick it up when I get these off, just to show you guys what it looks like. But 1 bolt right here. This is the gas line right here, if you're wondering what this is. You have another bolt right here. 3rd bolt right there, that's your middle point. And then down all the way here, I have, I'm sorry guys, no, you guys can't see. Let me see if I can get some more light. But right where you see my hand, it's a very dark point, is another bolt. Up there it is, right there. That's your 5th bolt. Your 4th bolt. And then you got your 5th bolt right here, and you gotta take that off. See if it'll focus, but yeah, there it is. And then your 6th bolt is all the way down deep into there. I'll get my flashlight out and show you where it is, but basically it's just right there. The tool I would recommend for it, and I'm sorry that's not the best description of the 6 bolt, but the tool I'd recommend for it is right here. I'm not sure what they call these, but it's super handy. It's like these are, on my Mustang at least, 13mm bolts. And you're going to want to take it off with one of these, because it's just super simple to be able to get your hand down in there And because a lot of times with regular wrenches, and you can't fit a socket wrench down here. You can't fit a socket wrench. But with regular wrenches, after you would get done with your turn, you would have to take it out, wind it back up, I guess, or like get it back to where you want it and turn it again. Not with this tool. You can easily just move it back and forth and keep on going. So this tool right here makes the job a lot easier. On any car, honestly, as long as you find the exhaust manifold, like on a inline 4 or something, you would find on maybe like a sedan or a minivan. Well, not even a minivan, but a sedan or something, where they're usually going to be, since this car is a rear-wheel drive, your exhaust manifold is probably going to be back here somewhere, back on the back of the engine, which makes the job really sucky to get them off. I'm kind of lucky that I have an easy Mustang like this to just, not easy, take that back, but you know, less hard Mustang to get this exhaust manifold off. So it's probably gonna take me around 30-40 minutes to get these things off, but I'll pick it up back just like that. I got all 6 of them off. I didn't get them fully off, but I'm leaving them on a little bit, so when I take off the next couple things, the whole exhaust manifold doesn't fall down really. Not the hardest thing, actually. I thought it was gonna be a lot more difficult. It took me about 10 minutes to get them all off, so pretty good. Especially with one of these ratchets. If you have one of these ratchets, I mean, it went by really quick. Now the next things I need to warn you guys about is, number 1, the nuts or the sockets or whatever that hold the thing on. So, you know, these little guys right here. You are going to need to buy replacements of those. You can find them at AutoZone. They're under the bolt section or whatever, and they're exhaust headers, hold-ons, you know, exhaust nuts. Just say I need new exhaust nuts for my exhaust manifold, and they'll show you right where they are. The package will also come with the stubs that hold on the nuts or whatever. These little things, the silver things that you see right here, they'll come with that. Those are actually able to take off. You know, you don't need to, but I have seen a couple times when I'm tightening these, because I've done this before, when I'm tightening these, the nuts, the stub or the bolt or whatever will actually tighten with it. So what that happens is, if you do that too long and you don't recognize it, what's going to happen is the bolts are going to snap, right? And they're going to be stuck in the exhaust in the cylinder head. And if that happens, then you're really messed up, because then you would have to take off the cylinder head, take it to a shop or something, and take the bolt taken out. So, I mean, I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to take off the bolts or not. I'm definitely going to buy new nuts. Like, nuts are something, the things you have to take off, the nuts, the gray things right here, or whatever they are, whatever color, the brownish gray things you see my hand is under, you have to get replacements of those. Because likely cases, you'll strip those when taking them off. And you do not want to have stripped exhaust manifold nuts, because if you do, it's just, if you strip them, it's 100 times harder to get them off. So definitely buy a new one of those. The package will come with the bolts. Don't have to put in the bolts. If you do want to, it's very simple. You just need a super small socket wrench with a 5mm head on it, or a 5mm socket on it. So really easy job to get those little things off. Also, if you do plan on taking them out, you'll have to put them back in, which kind of sucks, but it's fine. You really don't want to tighten them too tight. Same with these bolts, actually. Same with the exhaust nuts. When taking them off, when you're putting them back on, you don't want them too tight. You want them, you know, kind of hand tightened, because once again, if you tighten it too much, you have a chance of damaging the exhaust manifold, and it's just a sucky process taking it off and putting it back on. So, as you see, I've gotten those bolts off. Surprise, surprise, not the only thing. If you have an inline 4, you'll probably have to deal with the EGR valve, or if you're unlucky with a V6 or V8, you're going to have to deal with the EGR valve. Basically, it just kind of regurgitates exhaust gases and puts them back in for, you know, I don't really know the science behind it, but I just know it uses them again to use for the explosion. So it's kind of recycling these bad exhaust gases. What that is right there is just a big old bolt you're going to have to take off with a big old wrench. And that will get that off. And then once you have that off, then you're about ready to take it off, take the whole thing off, take the exhaust manifold off, except the last 2 things you have to do, and I'll show you a better picture. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. But if you can see right there, what I'm zoomed in on is where the header or the exhaust manifold meets the exhaust pipe. And you have to take those off. And that is probably the easiest slash hardest part of the job. It's my least favorite part, which I have a impact wrench in there, and that makes it super quick to get those things off. If you don't, you know, it's just a sucky job having to take it off. Now, when you're planning on putting them back on, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get under the car. When you're planning on putting them back on, it's tightened to 30 foot-pounds of pressure to put those things, to put those bolts back on. I mean, to put the bolts back on, it's 30 foot-pounds of pressure. And I'll show you all that once I get down there. But for right now, I'm going to take off the EGR valve, and then I'll jack up the car, and I'll show you guys what I'm dealing with under. So as you can see, I mean, that took me no less than 30 seconds. I got that thing out. I didn't really use a lubrication on it. I don't think you need to. I mean, I guess you want to. If you haven't done this before, definitely do it. But I literally just took this off like not even 500 miles ago, you know, because that's when I did the job. And I didn't know my exhaust manifold was leaking, you know. So, you know, I just took this off recently, so that explains why it was a little bit easier to get off. But definitely put some lubricant on it. Also put the lubricant, you know, put the lubricant on the exhaust manifold bolts too. That will help a ton out. And then finally, you might want to put some lubricant on the exhaust, where the exhaust manifold meets the exhaust pipes, because that's just going to help out a lot if you don't have an impact wrench. Alright, so we just got the car jacked up. I need to put this out as a safety disclaimer first. Do not get under your car till you are 100% sure it is safe. And when you get to that point, double check and make sure everything is right. Have your parking brake on, make sure your car is in park. Make sure you have jacked up your car on all the proper jack points. If you don't know the proper jack points of your car, make sure you find them out before getting under your car. As you can see here, I have 3 forms of jacking on the front of my car. And then, of course, I have the famous wheel stoppers on the back, just to keep it from rolling backwards. Now, I do not have my parking brake on because, admittedly, it does not work. That is a job for the future. Probably another YouTube video. But as you can see, I have wheel stoppers right in here. Usually, I would recommend just buying a pair of Rhino Rams or something you can drive up. But because we don't have the exhaust manifold on right now, and because I really don't feel like driving it up, I'm just jacking it up. Make sure you know where the jack points are in your car, because if you do not, there's a good chance you're going to get hurt or worse, killed. Getting under these things is very dangerous. So, I'm going to go under here, and once I get, and I have my impact wrench ready. What you're going to need is, I forgot the socket, I'll get that to you in a second. But basically, you want an extension socket and an extender. And if you have, and best bet, if you have an impact wrench, use it. If you don't, then you're going to just want a big old breaker bar and just break the things off. So, yeah. So, guys, as you can see, I'm about to get under the car. I have my impact wrench, and I know it's bad to keep it on the floor. It's a 15 millimeter, oh, my bad. It is a 15 millimeter socket to get that bolt off. And finally, you're going to want yourself an extension like I have right here. So, before we get under there, last couple safety checks. Just give your car a big push. And if you don't feel, and if it wobbles or something, you know you got to redo it. Mine didn't. I'll do it again. Put these on the ground, you know. So, hopefully it's not going anywhere. Hopefully. And, so we're about to get under there. And things you're going to want is safety glasses. And once again, a flashlight. I'm going to have a flashlight to shine the light, show you guys where it is. If you guys have a Ford Mustang. If you don't, then it's probably going to be somewhere else. But, you know, it's just, if you have another car and you're watching this video, hopefully it's just the basic premise of how to get these things off and steps to take. Now, here's the thing. You may be thinking, oh, these things are going to be super tight, blah, blah, blah. No, they're not. They're only tight down to about 30 foot-pounds of pressure, which should be easy enough to get off even if you have never touched these things before and it's been like 200,000 miles, you know. But basically it should come off. So, oh, God, that's bad. There's one right there, that bolt you see. That's one of the ones I'm going to have to get off. I'm sorry about the glare. But there it is right there. There it is right there. There's a good picture of it. Exactly where my spotlight is showing on. That's one of them. And the other one is right there. As you can see, they're kind of a pain to put back on once you get them off. And I'm kind of hoping this side just falls down a little bit so I don't have to go take off the other two. If I do, I do. If I don't, hopefully I don't. But yeah, let's get these off really quick. Lucky for me, the impact wrench made it really easy. I mean, they came off in seconds. admittedly, I did lose the other one somewhere up there, so hoping I can see where it is, but, you know, there's one basically. So I'm hoping I can find the other. It's probably going to be up there. But now, we're good to go. We just take the exhaust manifold off, and we should be, and then I can get a better look at where this leak is coming from. Alright guys, so I'm not going to lie. It takes a lot of wiggling to get this out, especially if you have this EGR valve on there. What I ended up having to do was loosen the other side's exhaust, what the exhaust manifold meets the exhaust pipe bolts. I don't know if, yeah, you can probably see it down there. Right there. And that wasn't too hard, and that just gave me enough wiggle room to get my side header out. Also, another thing you have to concern about, if your car is a model like mine or anything like it, you're probably going to have to get it over this gas line. So just, if it's not coming out, just be careful with it. Don't tug on it too much, because you might end up tearing the gas line. That's a pain in the butt to fix also. But yeah, so we got it off, and now basically the freaking combustion chamber's right there. So do not start this thing right now with that off. You can also check your spark plugs. You could change your spark plugs. If you're doing it, might be a good time to check your spark plugs. Just take a look around, you know, the area, make sure there's no leaks. I actually discovered a rear main seal leak, not big enough to really consider changing the rear main, so I'm probably just going to put some AT205 in there. Great product, by the way. Just helps, stops up leaks. Another good time if you want to change your O2 sensors, your front two O2 sensors. You can see mine is right down there. I recently changed mine because my car was running just way too rich without them. And, yeah, so we got it out of there. It wasn't terrible or anything. I mean, it took me about a 40-minute job. So, and I've done this 2 times before, so, you know, if you're a beginner, or you just, not a beginner, I'm a beginner, but if you're just doing this for the first time, you know, it's going to take you a while to find all the things. This video is especially helpful, in my opinion, if you have a Ford Mustang, because, you know, I showed you where everything was. If you have any Mustang of this gen, like, you know, 96 through 2000, or 99 through 2004, it's going to be exactly like this, no matter if you have V8 or V6. V8 just means you got to take off 2 more bolts. But right now, I'm really just going to worry on, find out where the leak was coming from on the exhaust headers. And the way I'm planning on doing this is hooking up my vacuum right here, my blower right here, and putting duct tape across these to give me the same effect. Oh, and also you're probably going to need to buy a new exhaust manifold gasket. I'm not sure if I'm going to need to, but because this is so new, I probably will, though, if it ends up I have to buy a new exhaust, you know, manifold. You know, just really kind of a sucky job. I'm really kind of mad about how these mess up. We just got these grinded down, too. So it's got to be somewhere, and where I was talking about earlier in the video is right inside this ring area is where I think the leak is coming from. So I'll let you guys know once I find out where it is, and we'll get to putting it back together. Alright guys, so finally got this off. You guys may be wondering where the EGR valve is. I took it off just so I could make the video a little bit easier. It's really easy, it's just a, you know, bolt off. But disclaimer, do not put this thing on until you have the EGR valve back on, because there's no way to put it on when the exhaust manifold's in the car. I made the mistake the first time I did this. I was putting this thing back in with the EGR valve off, and as soon as I got in, I noticed, oh man, I can't put the EGR valve on while this is bolted on, so I had to unbolt everything and put it on, and then put it right back on. So I had to do this like 3 times in a row. But yeah, so how you check for leaks now, if it is an exhaust manifold, is the way you want to do this is, as you see here, I use duct tape. Now I said before, sorry about that, it's about to rain. I know I said before, use painter's tape, but the edges on the exhaust manifolds, at least mine, was straight stainless steel, and painter's tape does not stick at all whatsoever. So what I used was duct tape in like a cross form or a T form or a plus form or whatever you choose to call it. And what you have to do is you have to make sure it's super smooth on there and make sure the edges are. I know you see a couple cracks right there and stuff like that, but I made sure this was pretty well and there should be no air leaks. So I personally already found the exhaust leak. The exhaust leak was right there, right where I thought it was the whole time. Oh, and you're also going to want to cover up the EGR valve. But the way I found it was I held my hand on this EGR valve so nothing was leaking. And then what I did, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to put down my camera really quick. Sorry about this. I sprayed a little bit of water on where I thought it was, and I'll show you that now. And so, you know, I just have my water jug right here, and then I sprayed it right on there. Now, when I do it, there should be little bubbles. So, as you could see there, water was spurting up anyway. I don't know if the video caught it, but I've already checked this before, and yes, there was water coming over out of there. So, we know this is the exhaust leak, and the way to fixing it is either going to put some exhaust manifold leak fixer right on this edge area, right on the circle where the pipe meets the exhaust, the header bolts. Or, you know, what I was talking about in the whole video was I thought the leak was where this met this, and I was right. The leak is right through here, and what I'm probably going to do is take some gasket sealer, some really high temperature gasket sealer, and put it all on here and make sure and hope it doesn't leak again. Also, I may take it to a machine shop and have them weld the inside, because I personally do not have a welder here at my place. But, you know, I think the cheapest way to fix this, cheap is not always best, but in this case I think it will work just fine, is I'm going to take a little bit of gasket sealer, make your high temperature. You need this stuff I think they sell like up to 5,000 Fahrenheit degree, you know, resistance. And I'm just going to spread it all along here, let it sit for a day or two until it's fully on, and I'll check it again and make sure there's no leaks. But now you may be asking, how do you put this thing back on? Well, it's the exact same steps oppositely. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to put the exhaust manifold in there, in where it is, get it bolted up, not bolted up, but I mean on the stubs, on the stubs. Then you're going to attach it to the exhaust pipe again with that, and then you're going to bolt these up and make sure your EGR valve is in there. I'll have a video come out on that in a week or so, once I have the time and once I fix this. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, maybe leave a comment, leave a subscribe. Really, if you just put in the comments what you need help with or what you need some information on, I will definitely try my best to make a video on it if I know enough about it. I've been working with these cars now for a good solid amount of time, so I know I've learned a lot about these things. So it's been a really fun path. If you guys need any help, just ask in the comments down below. I hope I can help you out. And if I can't, then I'll do some research and do my best to help you out. And yeah, so just thank you for watching.